Hi everyone. So I hope you're all doing great. Today we're going to dive into oil paints, specifically the yellow family. So we do have other episodes out there for the other color families, greens, reds, blues, and so on. But today we're going to dive in deep on yellows. So I'm going to go over the yellows that I use on my palette, as well as some other ones on the outside that I don't use, but I'll go over the reasons why I use the ones I use. We'll do some mixes on the palette so you can see some of the reasons, as well as dive into the resources that I use to find out about those pigments. So let's go ahead and get this started. Okay, so I want to start off by showing you a couple of my paintings that where I have yellow as a key highlight. And so for this one, this farmland that I did, you can see over here in this section how vibrant the yellow is around that sun. And I should probably mention, I don't use cadmiums. I try to keep a healthy studio, a toxic-free studio, so I don't use lead, mercury, cadmiums, cobalts, and so on. But with that being said, the brightness, the intensity of this yellow not being cadmium, it just shows you how there are other colors out there that are safer and yet can be actually, I think, even more vibrant than the cadmiums. But let me go to this other picture, though. I do want to show you this other painting. So with this one, this is done with the same Hansa yellow that I used in the other one. But this one has the Hansa yellow mixed with all the colors. So in the city, you know, those mercury vapor lights that give that orange amber look, that changes the color of everything, gives everything that shade. And so Hansa, because it's transparent, really mixes well with all the different colors just to tone them a little bit toward that family. But what I really want to focus in on are these trees over here to the right. So these trees have a mix of that Hansa and black that you cannot get with any kind of cadmium. And I'm going to show you that, but actually let's just go ahead to the palette right now and start mixing this up. So we're going to start off mixing a cadmium yellow light. This is from Rembrandt. Just get a small amount down here, if I can get it out. And this is a very opaque color. And then this one is from Michael Harding. It's called Yellow Lake. And this one you can see that it's very close to the same color as a cadmium. But this one is a true Hansa. It's a single pigment. And this is a very transparent pigment. Now let's spread those out. Pull these down and just see what they look like. Let me grab another palette knife for the Hansa. I don't want to mix these. So this is a little bit darker actually, but you can see in the pull down this is very opaque, whereas the Hansa is a little more transparent. However, it's still very, if you look at the two, they're both very similar, even in the opacity from this look. So now let's go ahead and add some titanium white, and that way we can mix this with the Hansa to make it lower in value, or higher in value, I should say, as well as a little more opaque, like the CAD. Just a small amount I'm going to use. And this is a very strong tinting strength. You saw how much I used on that. And you can see obviously a little bit of this is making it closer to the cadmium color, since that was a tad lighter. Do a touch of this for the cadmium side. Mix it up slowly. And again, it lightens very nice. So really you can get very comparable colors, both in hue as well as the opacity. Now that I've added white to the Hansa, that becomes a more opaque paint also. So the one thing though that does separate these two, or makes them a little bit different, is when you add a darker color like this. I'm using ivory black, just a Winsor Newton ivory black. And as we know, when you mix black with yellow, because black is considered a blue, when you mix black with yellow, it makes a green. And so I'm going to mix the two different options here, cadmium and Hansa. Let me smooth this out. And then a little bit on this side. I want to get the same amount also. So let's take some of this cadmium and mix it slowly in this until we get that green look. So you can see how it's slowly turning green and kind of a smoky green or olive green. Smooth it out. Now let me take another palette knife. And now on this, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of Hansa and add it down here to the black. Now to warm up blacks, obviously you'd have to take a warm color like yellow or red, orange, but it would have to be a transparent color in order to keep that black. As you see down here, this is still very black. It almost is an olive green, but it's still considered a black, a warm black. Just very beautiful. I'm going to add it up here to show with more yellow, try to get that green color. So you can see the difference in the two greens. So let's zoom it in a bit. And I want you to look at these. Look at this color. And down here we've got solid black, but we've warmed it up to look almost like an olive green. Let me add a little more yellow to it because you can see, look how beautiful this is. Very translucent, very deep, very clean color. Whereas with the cadmium, you can see this is more chalky, more muddy, which may be desired. But if you're looking for the best options or something that's clean, you can't get that with the cadmium. Look at the black now. That's not going to be a greenish, warmish black. It's going to be a chalky gray. And this is the difference between transparent and opaque. So you need to keep that in consideration when you're choosing what colors to go with. This is a good opaque color, so it's a great color to have, but I can make the Hansa opaque just by adding white. And I can make this middle Hansa color identical to the middle cadmium color just by adding a little bit of white to that. So I can match this exactly. So in other words, with all this in mind now, the cadmium can make a certain amount of colors, but the Hansa has a wider array because I can get the transparent colors that I can't get with the cadmium. So therefore, that's why I feel like the Hansa has more colors, more directions I can go with it. So it's a better color choice for me. So let's move into the other yellows. This is a cad yellow medium. Just going to quickly kind of go through this. And then the next one is a Hansa yellow medium. So this is just more of an orange color. But that's comparable to the cad yellow medium. And let's just pull these down. So the cadmium first, and cadmium smooths down just like the other cad. A very nice, smooth, opaque color. And the Hansa yellow medium. So this one was from Richardson, and they're a little more soupy, a little more binder or oil mixed in theirs. Let me zoom this in. So on this, you can kind of see the edge, the opacity of the cadmium, but then see the Hansa, how it's a little more transparent on the edges. So if you need opaque, you're either going to have to do a thicker layer on the Hansa in order to cover thick. But I'm going to use this, or mix it with ultramarine blue. And just set that there. That way we can kind of see the mixing ability with this. So with the cadmium, just making a stronger green because we have more toward the reds. So this goes toward the brown family then. And then a clean knife with the Hansa yellow. I'm going to do a very small touch of blue. Just thicken that up. So this is even more in the red family. Let me try to add more blue, see if I can get green out of it. So this actually turns a little more toward the reddish brown side. So it does make a nice brown tone. So you've got different options here. Some pretty colors, nice colors, and let's go ahead and switch it. Let's go to the other colors. So I'm going to try ochres. This is a yellow ochre light from Rembrandt. Oops, get that cap. And then I'm going to do M. Graham yellow ochre. Small drop of that. Actually, this Rembrandt looks a lot like the yellow medium. Next one is Lucas yellow ochre. Drop of that one. So this one you can see is a little more redder than the M. Graham. Both are darker than the Rembrandt though. Now let's try Winsor Newton, I think. Get that one out here. So this is a Winsor Newton yellow ochre pale. And it is a little bit paler. It actually looks a lot like M. Graham's color. These are all PY43 yellow oxides. So let me smooth this out. Again, that's so close to the yellow medium up here. So I could probably mix some ochre with that and have it match exact. M. Graham, let me go ahead and take that one down, like clean the knife. And that's got some good opacity on it. And then this Lucas, a little more transparent. I think Lucas also uses some wax in their binder. You can see it's a lot more red than the M. Graham. And then Winsor Newton, very close to this one though, if you look at those two. So let's spread this out. And yeah, those two are very close. This one's kind of like a cross between M. Graham and Lucas actually. Yeah, real close. So I want you to understand though, these are all PY43. So they're all yellow ochres. Let me show you the resource I go to whenever I need to look something up. This is my main resource, which is something that shows, this is a website that shows all pigments that are out there. The name of the website is artismart.com. whatiscreation.com. So if you pull that up, you can see the home page has all the yellow pigments: orange, red, violet, blue, green, brown, black, and white, and then some miscellaneous ones. But so in this case, if I wanted to find a yellow pigment, all the yellows would pop up then. So then I have my choice of whatever PY it was. So the P in front just stands for pigment. The Y stands for the yellow family that you're in, and then the actual number, which would be the type of pigment that it is in that yellow family. So let's just go to another section though before we go into it. So if you go to blick.com, many of you probably get art supplies from there, but this is the one company that seems to have some really good information as far as their paints for all the different brands. So like in this one, the Utrecht brand, with this one, if I go down to all the colors that they have, I could look at the yellows. And for instance, on this one, I'm looking for a Hansa yellow. And right here you see Hansa yellow light. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And that's going to open up this page about Hansa yellow light as far as Utrecht goes. But on here, this is the only website that I find that actually has the pigment information. You do have to click on it, but down here, if I click on pigment information, what I wanted to show you that even though this is Hansa yellow light, the pigments are actually PY73, which is Aerolide yellow, and then a zinc white, PW4. So this Hansa yellow actually has a white in it as well, which now you're talking about some opacity in it. It's not a transparent yellow like I showed you with that first one. Let me go back up here. Yeah, I think it was Michael Harding. So Michael Harding, if I go down to the yellows, so theirs was called Yellow Lake. This one, the bright yellow lake. And this yellow lake, bright yellow lake, is actually the one that if I click on pigments, you can see this has strictly a one pigment color, and it's Hansa yellow. So this is where you get the true transparent yellow. So Hansa is very good at that. They're a very strong chemical. You can see by the properties here. This Hansa yellow is a transparent yellow. It has great brightness and tinting strength, and its drying time ranges from average to slow. Hansa yellow makes more intense tints and clearer secondaries than cadmium yellows. Another reason why I like it. And because they're more transparent, they have great value in glazing colors as well. So I would recommend the Hansa yellow, and be careful. So just like this doesn't have Hansa yellow in the name of it, so you're going to have to click on the pigments to find out what colors are actually Hansa yellow. And be careful of like what Utrecht has here, which the name of it's Hansa yellow, but the pigments are actually two pigment, and neither one of them are Hansa. If you go to Richardson, again going down to yellows, so they have a Hansa yellow here. And when you click on it, again, they have Hansa yellow and titanium white. So this is going to be opaque, or at least somewhat opaque. So I don't want to use this. So you're going to have to check the pigment in order to see if it's truly a one pigment color, or if it's going to have that opacity in it, which would cause it to be cloudy or muddy in mixes with darker colors or other colors. Okay. Going to go back up here. So this other one that we have with Richardson, we did have one that was the school bus yellow, and I think that's a Hansa yellow medium. So we just did the Hansa yellow pale, which actually has titanium white, but the Hansa yellow medium, if we click on that, this is a good medium yellow, and showing the pigment information it's two pigments, but both are Hansa, and that's what helps it to get this more of an orange look. So this is perfectly fine, two Hansa yellows. And so we'd move with that. The Michael Harding, this is the one I like for the lighter one. Williamsburg. Let's just see what their yellow is. Cad Lemon, this is what we want to stay away from, or I want to stay away from. So this one's pretty bright. Let's see what this one is. This may be Hansa yellow. Although here you can see how that's maybe Hansa. Let's see what the pigment is. This is a true Hansa yellow. So Williamsburg also has a Hansa yellow that's called Permanent Yellow Light. So again, you can't go by the name. You're going to have to research it. But Williamsburg has a good true Hansa yellow. Okay, now let's go to the ochres. And with the ochres, I had an M gram one. So let's find the yellow ochre. Here's the yellow ochre. And with this one, just show the pigment. Pigment information is PY43. Okay, PY43, let's go to Winsor Newton. And with Winsor Newton down to the ochres, this is yellow ochre light on that particular one that I did on the sample. And the pigment again is PY43. So both of those are the same PY43. And with this, so ochres, these are just yellow oxides, and they're synthetic, but very inexpensive. They're usually the lowest price range of any brand. But because they're so inexpensive, they usually pack them pretty good, and they're very opaque. So I don't really see an issue with going with a less expensive brand. Still artist quality, but a less expensive brand, whether it's Winsor Newton, M gram. I'm just going to check with Old Holland and see what they have. Here's a yellow ochre light. I guess we'll check that one then. And the pigment on this is $16 now. And PY43. It's the same pigment. This looks like a more reddish tone. So that's all in the way they heat it up. So different temperatures can cause different colors. Also depending on the metal that they use it on, or if it's a natural pigment instead of being synthetic. If it's natural, it depends on what mine they took it from. You know, if it's from this part of the world or another part, maybe a slightly different hue. But they're all still the PY43 yellow oxide. And with this, we'll just look at the PY43. So they're all in order. So 43 would be right here, PY43. And that'll take us right to that natural yellow iron oxide, PY43. So these are all the different brand names, what they call them, what they call that color in each of those brands. That'll also have some information next to that about the pigment itself. And then over on the right, it'll have stories about, you know, where it came from, things that it's used in, automotive, and so on. But a lot of good information. So thank you for watching that. Hope you enjoyed it. Yellows are very tricky, you know, so definitely take that information, do with it what you may, but I hope it helps you to choose the right yellow pigments to have on your palette. If you enjoyed this or got something from it, definitely hit the like button below and definitely subscribe. And I hope to see you all in the next one. God bless.